Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and this is the Frontline Changes Report. For the past 24 hours, there are some frontline changes and a few, of course, as usual, because the Ukrainians are on a full retreat over in the Pokrov front. There is, of course, big changes over in that sector. But first thing first, we go through a few of the list. Komarkov over in the Kursk front. Pischani, there is still new updates over there. At Hrodivka in the Pokrov front, Seridove, which is also Pokrov, Helisinivka, Paraskovievka in the Donetsk front, and over at Konstantinivka. So let's go to the Kursk front as usual. At the Kursk front, as mentioned in yesterday's, I think, situation report. I'm not sure if I mentioned during the frontline changes report. The I said that Komarkov is unlikely to be under Russian control given the way how the situation have developed. Especially, I have assessed and rated that Cherkasskaya Konopelka is under Ukrainian control. This is an assessed capture, and as such, the even Ryba, the pro-Russian source, actually echoes DPA's view. So in their update. Similarly, based on the shelling of Cherkasskaya Konopelka, they have also assessed that the Russian forces is unlikely to be in this region. So they actually mapped it the same. But for them, they went even further. And in their mapping, they have rated Komarkov as under Ukrainian control. So and I fully agree with the assessment, and this is why Komarkov is now under Ukrainian control with this development around this area, because it only makes sense. Things have to make sense. When it don't make sense, usually it's just nonsense. So the assessment is correct, so that's very good. But anyway, this still assessment. This is not reality on the ground. It's Ryba and DPA both came to the same conclusions, but it doesn't mean that this is the reality on the ground. Maybe the Ukrainians are already in, near Vorovza. Maybe the Russians have retaken. We do not know. We are only basing on the information that we have on hand. This is very important to note, because troops depositions and locations are all top secret information. These are all classified information on both sides of the conflict. So we, in the open source world where we are in, we can only do assessments. So this something important to note for those especially new to this channel. And another thing, on the DPA's YouTube main channel, there is a live scheduled World War 3 Infinity Chat, which is also a stream that I will do only if World War 3 happened. And yesterday the stream happened. I forgot to reschedule it, and luckily nothing happened. I almost caused World War 3 to start. So I have to apologize. I'm very sorry that I almost caused World War 3. So I repent. I'm so sorry for that. So anyway, over in the Pischani region, our saber tooth is no longer a saber tooth. It's now looking like some kind of insect, with the Russian forces having some grounds taken along this area here. So according to the Ukrainian mapping, it's very weird. The way how they map it is like very copish. They claim that the Russians have actually went in this direction, like this, like in this very weird curvy way. It feels really unusual and very copish. I don't know how to put it. It just feels so weird. The amount of gray zones that they use is like, never mind. So anyway, whatever it is, the Russians are making this development, this push. This was yesterday's capture. So we have this movement moving south from Pischani region, and they are going towards the direction of Lozova, and which is over here. So like I mentioned previously in the situation report, in yesterday's situation report, if you haven't watched it, you should watch it, where I mentioned about the strategic situation around here. So anyway, this is the frontline change over at the Pischani region. We go into the Pokrov front. At the Pokrov front, the Ukrainians have Ukrainian mapping have conceded a little bit more of Hrodivka, that the Russians have actually taken a little bit more of the streets. However, based on Russian mapping, the entire half of Hrodivka has already been taken. So we will just continue to wait and see how this develops. So moving on, over in the south, this is where the great diarrhea is happening. The Russian forces, based on Russian claims, this is based on Russians mapping. This is not entirely Ukrainian. Ukrainian only acknowledged the loss of the entire eastern half of Helysinivka, where the Russians have taken all these positions west of Kharkivka. And this is the only one that is confirmed by the Ukrainian side. On the Russian side, their mapping has expanded even further, with Russians taking more grounds on the eastern part of Selidove, south of Mikhailivka, all the way to the outskirts of Lysivka and Ukraine. And the Russians also entered Dolinivka, as well as taking most of the rest of Helysinivka. So based on the Russian mapping, the development around here is much greater, and which is most likely the reality, given the fact that the Ukrainians basically lost the will to fight around this area here. We are seeing the mass withdrawal of Ukrainian forces. They are doing most likely tactical retreats, because driving away is actually very fast. So they are definitely doing tactical retreat. They are definitely attacking Russian forces while they are retreating. But there's no heavy fighting. And as evident in yesterday's situation report of the destruction of an artillery system by FPV drone, the Ukrainians are definitely doing a tactical retreat. They are not. This is not a rout, not yet. So the Russians are pushing out, and the amount of grounds taken is very fast. So, but I think, but it's not fast to the point where they are just driving recklessly. They're still at the speed where they are clearing house by house. So we will continue to monitor the situation. So we go deeper into the details. The Russians have taken Shakhtar Stadium. They have cleared out. They have taken the entire of the mining the mining ground northeast of Selidove. They have taken the entire eastern part and all of the dachas. So this is a pretty significant capture, and we are calling, like I have already said, Selidove is like the second boss, the alternate second boss, and the Russians are taking it very, very quickly. There is some high-rise buildings around here in the center of Selidove, and of course a little bit in the north. I'm not sure if the Ukrainians are going to hold a line there. I seriously doubt it, because nowadays, unlike during the Battle of Bakhmut, staying in the high-rise building does not give you security anymore. The Russians will just simply drop a massive 500 kg, 1,500 kg bomb and just destroy the entire building, and it just changes the equation of how the war is being fought. There is also further buffer zone being established by the Russians around the south of Mikhailivka, and that the entire band at the E50 highway is also taken by the Russian side. This is based on the Russian claims. So as you can see, the Ukrainians are living in the alternate universe. They are still very far away. The front line is very far away. We are talking about the maximum disparity of like 3.5 kilometers. So the reality is 3.5 kilometers away. I just made a joke. I'm not sure if you caught it. Okay, anyway, south of the curve of the highway, based on Russian mapping, the mapping here is a bit vague because they covered it with icons, so I can't really see clearly, but this is my assessment of how they mapped it, is that the Russians are at the outskirts of Lysivka and Ukrainsk, and the Russians have created a buffer on the eastern part of Membrik, and continue to push south, and they have entered Dolinivka. This is more of a confirmed mapping because they blew up this area. Not blew up as in use a bomb, but blew up the picture, make it bigger. And in their mapping, they have also claimed to have captured most of Helysinivka. And basically, they are on the verge of confirming the capture of this region here. So this is actually pretty significant. The Ukrainians aren't defending at all. The Ukrainians are retreating. So I'm still not sure what's the situation right now, because my assessment is that the Ukrainians, the soldiers that are defending in the actual Ukraine, in the Ukrainian front line, especially in these very hot front lines, they have lost the motivation to fight. I believe because of the offensive in Kursk, and they are getting pushed back. They are handling the biggest pressure in this war, but probably they're not getting the equipment, ammunition, the support, the reinforcement, the additional manpower, and index, and then you read about your leadership sending forces that you need to help out in defense into Kursk, I think it's pretty demoralizing, and I think they just don't want to fight. They don't want to die pointlessly. So the Ukrainians aren't stupid. The Ukrainian soldiers, are still human beings. They know what is what. Of course, it's a lot of time is beyond their beyond them. They can't really make any difference in the way how they hope. But they wouldn't want to die and pointlessly. No, there are crazy ones that wants to, but no, I think the sensible ones like those, they're currently at this front line. They're retreating and see what's next. Rather than holding the line, holding all these villages that is not really pointless, not really meaningful, and then die pointlessly. That's no point. And these areas are all very, very undefendable. It's very, very hard to defend in these regions. So we're gonna see how this continue to develop. So over and this area here, over in the Kharkivka, Hrodivka region, this is based on Ukrainian mapping. They have confirmed that the Russians have taken the entirety of this area here. This is actually my original mapping. Then after I saw this geolocation of the flag, but I decided to tone it down, just to give some benefit of the doubt for the Ukrainians. But no point. the Ukrainian mapping themselves also draw it in this way. So if not, actually my original mapping stretches in the exact same way along the river. So whatever it is, yeah, I think Hrodivka is gone. So and the pro-Russian sources also claim that they have no idea what the hell is happening around Nevelske. As per my assessment, my analysis, they are retreating already. So let's wait and see whether there's a collapse over there. And we go on to the Donetsk front. Over in the Hrodivka region, we finally have some concession from the Ukrainian mapping. They finally give up this entire area here. This gray zone, this massive gray zone has been here for a long time. The Ukrainian side refused to acknowledge the loss of this area here. We finally have it now. So the Russian forces is now confirmed to have taken all this land north of Hrodivka, lining up more or less exactly where the Russian mapping is. So we have finally a corroboration of the Russian mapping, and I believe this has been lost way longer than just the past 24 hours. This must have been lost a long time ago as per the Russian mapping. It's just that they are now only acknowledging this because the situation around here no longer makes sense to map it in this way. And based on Ukrainian mapping, they also confirmed that the Russians have taken all the way to the highway line from the Dacha region north of Konstantinivka. So we have this new reality over here, and I think in no time the Russians is going to straighten the line anyway along the highway, and then the next operation is going to push out. So anyway, we'll talk more about this future stuff or analysis of the tactical situation in the situation report. So anyway, this is the Frontline Changes Reports, and thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and again I have to apologize. I almost started World War 3. I didn't really mean it. I was out. I came home late. So yeah, so World War 3 almost started because I came home late. I'll see you guys in the next update.